Hey, how's it going, everybody? Shaun here from Zoobox, and today we're going to be talking about a brand new movie, something that just came out, actually was even made in the past few months. Today we're going to be talking about the recent released Host. Now, this film is, I think it's on VOD, so you could probably go rent it, or if you have a Shudder account, that is mainly where it plays. It's called a Shudder original. I'm not sure if it was commissioned by Shudder, if it was sold to Shudder for distribution afterwards. I don't know, but they pick up a lot of these kind of like indie horror movies and give them kind of distribution on their platform. Sometimes they'll even show up in stores after the fact a few months later. It's Shudder's a cool streaming service. It's like a curated horror service. It's works in conjunction, I believe, with AMC, and they have a pretty decent selection of titles there, and they're always rotating in kind of bigger things. Like I think it was a few months ago that they had like all of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and then they've had all of the Friday the 13th movies before, and then just other random classics, and then some kind of ones that are some underappreciated gems. Also, a lot of trash. But they have a good selection of stuff. I've always kind of appreciated the project of Shudder more than I've actually probably used the service. I've kind of kept an account there on and off, I'd say, since it started, back, which was like 3 or 4 years ago. Sometimes I go back and be like, oh, cool, there's some cool stuff on Shudder, and it's not very expensive. So I think it's $6 a month. So when I think about it, I'm like, well, this saves me from buying the couple movies I might want to watch that are on there, or renting them. Usually it would cost about $6 to rent a movie. So why not just get Shudder for the month? And then you have the whole month to kind of go through their stuff. And they got, like I said, they got some cool stuff on there. One of my more recent favorite movies, Panos Cosmatos, his new movie, Mandy, starring Nicolas Cage. It's this kind of weird, trippy, drugged up revenge fantasy movie. It's really crazy. It's a really wild movie. It's worth actually getting a Shudder subscription for. And I have something for you if you'd like to try Shudder out. This is not a paid promotion or anything like that, but I buy a lot of physical media, and oftentimes some of the Shudder originals or things that are on Shudder or affiliated with Shudder, they'll come with a promo code. And this one's pretty easy. It's just was it? There it is. Try Shudder 30. You get 30 days free. You just go there, start up an account, and that's not a unique thing. That's a pretty generic one. I believe that comes in like every promotion thing. So it should work for an untold amount of people. And it's worth getting for 30 days just to check stuff out. So Host. I had heard about this movie a while ago, because there's been a few movies that have been made during the pandemic, right? That have taken advantage of what's going on. There was a zombie movie that was made about the pandemic, like starting back in February and March. And this one, it's kind of more in the vein of things that have come out in the past few years. Unfriended comes to mind mostly, where it's like the entire movie takes place within like a chat or a computer screen or something like that. There's another one John Cho was in, I think it's called Searching, but a guy that's like looking for his daughter. His daughter goes missing, and he goes through her computer and Skype chats and all that kind of stuff to kind of figure out the mystery. And this one's much more direct. It's all pretty much happens in real time. It's under an hour long. And like I said, it pulls, not necessarily pulls from, but is very similar to the movie Unfriended. Except for a few differences, and we'll get into that. I am actually kind of a fan of Unfriended. One of the more surprising movies to come out in the past few years, because I was surprised how effective it was. And Host kind of tries to capitalize on that, because it's a movie that was made and comes out during a pandemic, during a time when a lot of people are locked in their houses. So we're kind of acclimated to this idea of sitting on a computer and talking to our friends remotely, right? And we all use Skype, or we use Zoom, or we use whatever. So we're all kind of just used to seeing that. So the structure of the movie being a Zoom call, hits home with a lot of people. It's very effective. Where I think this movie works is it works kind of, scenes work in a vacuum. It does a really great job sometimes of building tension by using certain kind of mechanical devices. Like there's a girl, she wants to see what's in this room. She hears a scary sound behind her, so she uses a Polaroid camera. And there's a tension there while you're waiting for the Polaroid to kind of develop. It's an old school Polaroid camera. So they do cool stuff like that, little interesting things like that. There is a little bit of that unmotivated camera. Sometimes people pick up the laptop and are walking down a hallway in a way that no one ever would. But that stuff's pretty few and far between. You buy the concept. You buy this idea of them being in a Zoom call and bored, so they're going to do something crazy. The plot synopsis says 6 friends hire a medium to hold a scene via Zoom during a lockdown, but they forget far more than they bargained for as things go quickly wrong when an evil spirit starts invading their meeting. So that's it. That is the basic crux of it. What gives something like this an edge is just the familiarity I think we all have developed in the past 6 months or so with these programs. So you're just so used to looking at it. There's something that's been so normalized. And being able to add this kind of classic ghost story element to it feels subversive in a way. And it feels really effective. I actually even watched it on a laptop. So it was even more effective in that sense, right? Where I think it fails, though, it does not have a very interesting narrative. The characters are obviously, they're not bad. And I think I would say all the performances are good, but there is no narrative pull line through. There's nothing pulling you through the story. And you get that they're friends and they're kind of all affable and everybody kind of plays their roles. There's the quiet one, there's the bitchy one, the over serious one, the gadfly, the one that's just not taking it seriously at all. And so those archetypes work in terms of a friend group, but it never goes any further. There never feels like there's any personal stakes to anything that happens. All of the haunting itself is like wildly unmotivated. So I'm going to have to get into some spoilers to talk about this. I'm going to spoil this, and I'm going to spoil the movie Unfriended in talking about what does and doesn't work here. Because I think Unfriended is a very similar movie, like I said, but it's also, I think, the superior one, because Unfriended has a motivated ghost. It has a motivated through line. There's a reason why all of these people are being haunted, and the things that happen to them correlate to their relationship with this spirit that's haunting them. In Host, it's not that. You don't know anything about this ghost. They basically say that because one of the girls doesn't take it seriously, she makes up the story about some old friend that had hung themselves like a few years ago, and she had never really gotten over it. But then it's like while they're doing a seance, and it's revealed that she's joking. She's fucking with people because nothing was happening during the seance. She wanted to inject some life into it and see what the woman leading the seance would do. And apparently that is somehow opens up the door to a malevolent spirit to be able to kind of manifest itself relative to your story. Like you've given them some sort of form and allowed them to come through because of that. And then after that, it's just kind of a series of executions, just like these kind of movies would, one by one, they kind of get picked off in some creative ways. I would say just like I said, in a vacuum, a lot of that stuff works pretty well. It, just like the actual scares and the gore stuff. Not that it's super gory, but there is some sort of violent moments and it actually works really well, and it feels like appropriately shocking. But the movie itself, though, once you're done with the kind of the amusement park ride nature of it, it's very forgettable, and it feels very shallow. There's nothing to really hook into, to be in fairness, I'd probably give this another go at some point just to kind of see if my feelings of it, if I grew an appreciation or not. I think what's the coolest part about the movie is the way it's made. It is made remotely using Zoom or some kind of software, maybe Zoom, maybe not, I'm not sure. And they do all the effects kind of in camera, a lot of practical stuff, a lot of smart ways that they construct the scenes. I think, I would say this, out of anything I could say about this movie, it's very well directed. It's very well orchestrated by this guy, Rob Savage, who's the director. And I would gladly watch something that he does in the future, because he definitely has a knack for creating tension and for kind of taking little small things, little mundane things, and making them scary. He understands the idea of something that you can have some sort of familiarity with, like the kind of normalcy of it, and then be able to kind of just twist it enough to be eerie. I think he's got a real great control on that. Um, Unfriended has a motivated spirit because you find out it's like the spirit of some girl that was like bullied at a party and got so embarrassed. Uh, she became like a viral thing because she gets drunk and like shits her pants. And then they put it on the internet and she gets, endlessly harassed for it and ends up committing suicide. So she comes for all of them. And that's part of the mystery of that, is discovering who it is. How do we address this? In this movie, there is not really an opportunity to do that. They don't ever feel like they're trying to solve a mystery per se. And then there's a bunch of fake outs where they think like, oh, okay, we're done. We've been able to shut it off or shut the door or whatever. Obviously, that's not the case. But it never feels organic. It never feels like it's infused in the characters, like I said. So it just has a little bit more of a amusement park ride. And in that, I would say it's pretty successful. I mean, I got kind of a thing for these movies, like going all the way back to, like, say, the Blair Witch Project. I actually really like the Blair Witch Project. I like the Blair Witch Project for how low key it is, because I find that much creepier. Because, I grew up in New England, which is not where the story takes place or anything, but we used to go camping and do stuff like that all the time. And there was always fun when you're doing those things to kind of freak each other out a little bit. You kind of overplay a sound you might hear in the woods or act like you had felt something, like just those kind of things. And I think, Blair Witch Project plays on that stuff very well. And I'm also like really into kind of fly on the wall documentary stuff. I really enjoy that. So, but I've always just liked the gimmick, that's why I ended up checking out Unfriended. There's a movie with, what's his name? Ryan Reynolds, Buried. The whole movie takes place in a coffin, almost entirely shot like inside of a coffin. There's only one shot in the movie where they do like this pull away to show you kind of like how far down in the earth he is. But yeah, so I've always had a thing. So maybe I could be forgiving of these movies. I'm not sure if that would lead me to it, because I heard a lot of people, a lot of the horror crowd, like really just heaping praise upon this thing. And anytime you see that, anytime you see people kind of overdoing it from the kind of those genre fans, both like writers and just regular fans, that like I'll follow on Twitter and whatnot, usually something's up. Usually it's not going to live up to snuff. I mean, a lot of stuff on Shudder, a lot of their original stuff, a lot of the stuff they pick up for distribution is usually not very good. And that crowd just praises everything they do. I don't know. And I think a lot of them, some of them, like, they're just like affiliated with the channel, which makes it kind of gross, but I don't know. That's my opinion. So when I saw all those people, like, I was just like, maybe I won't check it out. And then I saw it was an hour. Now, if you want to get Shaun to watch a movie, make it 90 minutes or shorter in this case, right? I try to watch a movie for every time I do one of these videos. I try to get a fresh watch. So if I can watch a whole movie in an hour, bingo bango, we're going. We're going. Yeah, like I would definitely give it a shot. And if you go check out Shudder, like I said, there's other cool stuff on there. Try Shudder 30 for your free 30-day trial. Now they should pay me. And definitely, it's probably worth checking out, especially watch it on a laptop. Get your loved one, shut off the lights, get in bed and watch it on a laptop. I think that would be the best way to like experience the movie. Because like I said, there's some stuff like in a vacuum, very effective, and you do kind of get caught up in the moment to moment stuff. It's just like the aftertaste isn't there. It just doesn't leave much of an impression. It's hard to actually remember a ton of the specific stuff from the movie, honestly. But I still, I take walking away from it though. I still didn't feel like it was like a complete waste of time or anything. So I was very happy that one of the times these people heap praise upon a fucking movie, it wasn't just like mediocre or bad. But yeah, check it out. You just get that free 30 days. Check it out. I would check out Mandy is on there. Right now there's also Patrick. All the Maniac Cop movies. I'm watching all the Maniac Cop movies. I might do a video about that as soon as I finish the third one, because I can't do a video for each of the Maniac Cop movies, but I'll do one for all of them. But yeah, definitely worth it. Worth checking out. Not going to be your favorite movie, but a decent enough distraction if you only have like an hour. It's like, oh, well, I could either watch an episode of a TV show or I could watch a complete narrative. Well, narrative. It is, like I said, it's a roller coaster. It's an amusement park ride. And I don't think that it's trying to be any more than that. And I think, relative to that, I can kind of give it a pass. I can give it a soft recommend if you're into these kinds of things. If you like Unfriended, you will most likely enjoy The Host on some level. So that would be kind of a litmus, right? Or The Den. You ever see The Den? It was like Unfriended before Unfriended. Well, it's actually Unfriended the Dark Web way before Unfriended the Dark Web, which is the sequel to Unfriended, doesn't have anything to do with it. But anyways, I digress. You guys have a good one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to know more about Zoobox, check out the links in the description. There's Facebook, Instagram, and my personal Twitter. Also, if you'd like to make a recommendation for one of these daily movie reviews or something for Zoobox Goes to the Movies, leave it in the comments, and I'll throw it on the list. You have a great one.